Thank you, Ms. Bill.
We have two lead-in things for you. First of all, can you please describe the conditions of Memphis leading up to the strike? We know that there have been some strides that have been made toward equality, but there may be some things where the city was lacking. Could you just give us an overview of the city?
The city in that time was perhaps, this is the book that I brought with me in case somebody need to know what all of this came about. The city was in one of the worst states you could find as far as southern cities can be. If you've seen any of the clips from the Alabama conditions in 1955 when Rosa Parks integrated the buses there, or rather had sitting on the buses, Memphis was pretty well in the same state as Montgomery was. There was no difference between Memphis and Montgomery. And I'm sure some of you have been seeing clips from that scene in the last few weeks. Memphis had a very low economic system as far as the wages are concerned. It mentioned that the sanitation workers were making a salary was so low that they could qualify for welfare. Well, that salary was a big salary of 90 cents an hour. That's exactly what they were making. And if you understand that they would have to go to the house and pick up your garbage in tubs, they didn't have the beautiful plastic cots that they have out front now. You put your garbage in tubs, and they had to go in the backyard and get it, by the way. They didn't get it in the front. They had to go in the backyards and get it. And many times those tubs would rot and have holes in the bottom, and they had to put them on their heads. And that garbage juice would run down on their clothing. And they had nowhere to change their clothing when they got off work in the afternoon. They were not allowed to go into the barn areas where they could take a shower, as some of the whites could do. They had to go home on the bus like that, smelling and looking the same way. As you heard on the clip that they had to take off their clothes before they went in home to keep from taking that smell and the trash that went with them, and the germs, of course, that went with them when they took those clothes with them. This was also the condition that you probably read somewhere at the river I stand about the couple of garbage men that were killed or crushed to death in one of the trucks. This came about because during the rain period they have to stop work. Well, they go into the barn when they stop work. The rain is continuing long enough, but they were not able to go into the inside of the barn and get out of the weather. So they took refuge in the back of the truck, and there was a bad accident, a bad malfunction in the system of the truck, and while they were there, that lift came down unexpectedly and crushed them to death. And that was all because they could not go inside to get out of the rain. That was simply all they were trying to do. Those were conditioned. In I think about 1966 or so, I was working with the union. Teal Jones and some of the others came to the Baptist Ministerial Alliance, where I was a member. And the late Dr. Love, who used to be the pastor of Mount Depot Church there on Vance and Lauderdale, I believe. He appointed me as a committee chairperson to work with the representative from then the persons who were trying to organize the union. They were not a union at this time, by the way. But Teal Jones and some of the others came and asked us for help. And I served as the chairman of the committee to go to Pete Sisson, who was the commissioner for Public Works at the time, to talk to them. He would not talk to them as a group, but when the ministers asked for a conference, he finally gave in and decided to talk to us. But when we were there talking to him in that meeting, some of the workers came with these signs that you have around the wall here. here, or they were outside waiting the outcome of the meeting. Someone came in the meeting and told Pete Sissom that they were picketing outside, and that they were ready to start a riot. I was there when they brought the report in, and so consequently, that ended the meeting that we were hoping to get some redress as far as the union is concerned, as for union recognition, and that broke up the meeting. And would you believe, from that point on through 1967, and even into 68, when the new council had taken seat, the city still would not listen to those union reps.